Hello everyone, and welcome back here today as well. We are today talking about the long-term perspective, searching some clue if we are still in a bear market or not. Obviously, for me, we are in the seat of the bull, and talking about that, seat of the bull means that we are still in the bear market, but something has changed under the surface, and we talked about that last week. So this week we are going to talk if we're actually getting out of this bear market, or we are still in the phase where recovering from the bottom. We are still there. We're still in the bear market, and we're not even approached the exact moment where we can start saying, well, this is kind of a new bull market. But we have proof of that. We are in the bear market. We are, if we make some comparison to a child, we are now here, just born, and when the time will get, we get to that time when we are ready, then we will be child, and we are going to talk about that today. But first, let's get with my developed chart. Here I got 4 charts for you that I personally developed, and that take in consideration the momentum on the bear market side, and the potential that this same metrics has the potential to make us know about market top, a macro market top. So let's get into that. But before, let's get into the longer term price action. As always, as of today, we are still hanging out above the 200 weekly SMA and DMA at 26k, 25 point. Actually, let's get in really close. 25.276 and 26.339. This SMA and DMAs are actually sustaining the price, but not only that, and we know that we need those. We need to use those as support before getting higher into a new bull market. But not only that, because let's get, for example, let's say a SOPR, and the SOPR metric, we are still above 1, and so we are still making profits. The market in the aggregate is in a state of profit, and are actually getting, the majority of people are actually getting profits and re-entering and moving coins when they get to the cost basis, and this actually get us in the position historically where the bull market started. All of this we already said. Let's get a little fast close watch to the short-term holder realized price at 26k. Still holds. We are still there. Nothing changed. So from here, I have to apologize for the fact that today I didn't get in at 416 UTC. That's because I had a long-term how does it said? I had 6 months ago to visit to a place where the sound, it's called in Italian language anechoic camera, anechoic room, okay, where there is no echo, no nothing, and there is like 10 of these in all Europe. So, or anyway, this big. So I had to go. I got there with my girlfriend, so on. So sorry. Let's get into this. So 200 ratio. What is the 200 ratio? You see right here that I have this metric. This is we are on Glassnode. This is my workbench. Okay, I got a lot of metrics. These are all metrics that I'm developing right now, but I am ready to get this out. I already got out last year. So this 200 ratio takes into account actually really measures that are really simple, with the idea that simple is best when comparing macro cycles, because you take in consideration the more and much used metrics, and you take those as simple as you can with some ratios, and you put it on a chart to see when and how we get to a new bull market or to a new bear market. In this case here we have the bear market line, that is the red line right here, and below we have the bear market 200 ratio. So the 200 ratio actually takes into account the 200 more or less. Let's say like this. It's not, it is a little bit more complex, but let's say that it takes into account the 200 SMAs of the daily and weekly, for example, and it takes into account those two with compared to each others, and with the price of Bitcoin itself, making two ratio and three ratios, two different ratios and other three different ratios, putting together into this metric. And as you see, what comes out from that is that we have the 200 ratio coming above this bear market line only when in fact we are in a bear market. We are, let's say that this is the official bear market line. So right here we enter bear market, and we are in fact into the here we are talking about 2015. We are in the very depth of the bear market, and we start raising, and here we start getting below this line, so we start getting into a new all-time high, more or less the same levels. But here, for example, again, we are at the peak, and we see historically great peaks for this, because obviously it will be a diminishing return metric, so we will know better when we are in a bear market in this case than in the top of a bull market. The next three charts will say if we are into a top, but this is more for the bottoms. And in fact, you see that here, for example, we entered bear market as soon as we got into this the dip right here. Then we say the very bear market, and we stayed there even here until we finally broke through 15k and starting getting to the 20k. Here this metric signaled us even before that we were approaching a new bull market, and in fact we were. The same goes right here. Before the drop from 40k, we got this signal that we in fact were entering a bear market, and we are still back above, really much above the line right here, and we still need to get through this, but we'll get through, don't worry. But still, we are still in this bear market officially. Something is changing under the surface. We saw that last week, but officially for everyone else, for the price itself and so on, we were sorry, but someone called me and I had to. Okay, so we are officially into a bear market now. Let's get into the other one. So this is the Abyss bubble momentum. Okay, in this case we are talking about the possibility that we are in fact into a bubble to the downside. So this takes into account more, I will get to it, the RSIs, for example, and it all other than that, RSIs and 200s, and put it on the chart to see if they are the market is actually on the bubble momentum to the downside, to the upside, or otherwise onto the Abyss momentum to the downside. if comparing RSIs onto the daily, weekly, and monthly, and so on, and with the 200s themselves. And this metric, you see right here what happens on the chart. We got into the buy momentum when we are actually at the very bottom of the bear market in 2015, at the very bottom of the market in 2019, and also on the COVID crash. And now we are at levels never experienced before of undervaluation, of an abyss momentum to the downside that we never reached before. And in this case, we are extremely undervalued in comparison to the other bear markets. In fact, we saw, and we still see, we can see it from here as well. If you take in consideration only the 200s, we never got below the 200s, and taking into account that these are taking into account the 200s themselves, you see that this is why we see this kind of peaks to the downside. Okay, so we have come close to the line where we get above the abyss, but still we are not there. And in the last few days, let's get this chart. In the last few days, we trend a little back below, obviously, from this momentum to the upside, to the downside. Okay, this doesn't mean really much, because as soon as we get through you must know that all these metrics are slow metrics, and they need time to move on the chart. In fact, I don't get this out very much, because I need these metrics for me needs like 1 month, and so some SMAs to be smoothed, and in fact they have some SMA as well to be smoothed a little bit more. Obviously, if we are actually taking into account, let's take into account the relative strength mean. This takes into account more or less just the RSIs of the daily and the weeklies, takes ratio of those, they comparing, they divided from themselves, they're adjusted for the price, and so on. So it's taking into account also the percentuals and so on. But let's not get too technical right here. And you see, this metrics actually is a more medium-term metric at the very start, but it gains the potential of a long-term metric onto the last cycle. Last cycle alone, more in 2015, it was more actually used as a mid-term. In fact, you could actually, and I got that out. But if you had like a middle line right here, you would have got to enter at that middle line and exit above, enter the middle line, exit above, and so on. And so you've got your, even here you will have got a lot of profits from it alone. But in this case, in the last cycle, since the cycles of diminishing returns are obvious to me, in this case we are seeing that we reach the top at the on chain, at least in this moment, and we can say that from here we can start selling. If taking into account, if this we can make this, and taking into account this in confluence with the other metrics, maybe it's still, in my opinion, still a good metric to watch. And in fact, even if we on chain are have our top a little bit before, and here a little bit before we have the very bottom, we could use that to say, for example, we are effectively close, a little bit close. In fact, the same went right here. Okay, more or less. Let me just regain here. You see, we got to the top a little bit before the actual top itself, and the same goes right here a little bit after we got to the very top. These signals are sell, but in the case we use this metric, we can say, well, this metric is actually saying to us that the bottom is closed, the top is closed, and the same went right here. For example, we got more or less a little bit before the bottom, we got the signals from this metric. So this is a little bit earlier, in the majority of the time. It's still slow as a metric itself, but it's early to tell us where is the bottom and where is the top. So taking into account what this metric says and watching the other metrics, if we are in a bull market, in a bear market, we are undervalued, we are overvalued, and so on, we can actually say it's time, it's not time, let's prepare, let's move coins, let's bring our coins from our wallets to the exchanges, or from exchanges to our wallets, and start buying and so on. So in my opinion, this is still a huge metric, and we are in the middle right now. We are still hanging out in the middle here. Actually, not very in the middle in the last few days, let's say, but we are actually approaching the relative strength momentum, and when it happens, you already know now. When this happens, probably we are into the local top of a bear market rally, and or into a top onto the macro side. So taking into account this in confluence to the other, as I already said. In fact, you see these three metrics are all together. These are ABM, RSM, 200 MU. They are together because they have to be taken together, because they had to be compared. And in confluence, we have more information regarding the possibility of a bottom or a top. But let's get into the other one, the last one. Okay, this is the 200 mean momentum. It takes into consideration the 200s, obviously, but the 200s with different ratios from before, and taking into account not only the ratios themselves, but the ratios of the percentuals of the 200s put together and divided by them, and with the difference and so on. So it's another metric. And here we can say that the majority of the cases, when we are above this line right here, the 200 mean overvaluation, this red line right here, we are into the top, or we are approaching the top of a bull market. Meanwhile, when we are below the 200 mean undervaluation, we are into, or we are approaching the bottom of a bear market. The majority of cases, we are in the bottom of a bear market in this case, because you see right here, we got below a little bit before. This signals this signals a little bit before for us that we are entering a bear market, and it's time to start buying deeply. It started right here, it started right here as well. We got a little bit back below first, and then we got even more below, and this signals for us to start DCAing aggressively, and if we do get this aggressively, and we'll start selling maybe a little bit back when we touch here, we will got a lot of them as profits, and we again enter right here, and we exit again right here. We start exiting again aggressively right here. We will got a lot of profits. So taking into account all of this, we are exiting. We are already exited the bear market, and in fact, this is the only metric that is actually signaling what I saw earlier happening under the surface. This change in the behavior patterns, and all of that are reflected into these metrics. We got above this trend line, and in fact we got above here as soon as we started climbing the first time, and that is the moment we have, in fact, watching our last analysis from last week, we have this data that confirms us that something started changing then under the surface, and in fact we are actually into a position where we are above this trend line, and we are not only above, we more or less touch closely the middle line right here. So we are there, we are waiting. We need months, we need weeks now, but the momentum is there. The metric signal on-chain signals this kind of change in behavioral patterns. So I would say in the coming month, 6 to 12 months, we'll see the new bull market in the eyes of everyone. And now, and I will say it now, I said it last time. I said on the 14th of June 2022. I remember it correctly because I posted a video on YouTube on the 14th of June, and it was more or less at this price right here. Okay, we are into into the bottom of the bear market, and in fact, we didn't really got more than from there. We came from 20 to 16k, and my prediction were from 20 to 14k. So more or less, we got there, and still, as I already said, if you want to make money, this is not financial advice for you. This is just educational content that I share to try to help you out becoming more prosperous, because if you it's just my objective in life, making myself prosperous. And if I meanwhile I do that, if I can make someone else prosperous at the same time, that would be actually really huge for me, because I became prosperous and someone else was too. So anyway, this is it for today, for this on-chain analysis for this evening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your for all time spent here learning with us and with me in particular. And I hope you get all the best things in life. Subscribe, click the notification bell, and more. Follow me on all their socials. They are in the descriptions. And